Right, so before, excuse me, I had to put my head down for half a second. Um, Before I was trying to use reduce because for some reason I was envisioning we were working through like a sequence of numbers, which is true for the outer part, the bus leave times, but it's not true for the inner part. Um, in which case, what we're looking to do here is loop over things, and the one we can do that is like with a recursive function. So I just like to pull these out because if you use loop recur, you have to be tail call recursive, which is more optimized for the way closure works, but it's also harder, so it's not my default. So I guess we're just writing a function which man, I really can't think of what this would be because it's very mathy. So like calling it something abstract is going to be misleading. I would say it's going to give you the closest number. Get close number. That's not a good name. So what we're going to take is n and then end, and this is going to be very simple. What we're going to do is if n greater than, if n is greater than that, then we're going to return n. So this is going to be over when we want under, but this would be good. And then otherwise, plus n, right? So if we did 5 and our end was 11, we would expect to be getting 15. But we get 10, which is actually what we want. I thought it would be over if oh, I never, I didn't write the loop part. I just imagined it was there without it being there. Oh, because we don't want to reuse the same number. We want the original value every time. So we'll call this I for increment, and that'll always be the same. And then we're going to put and I believe that's at 15, which is what I was expecting. Okay. It's expecting, but not correct. So really what we want is yeah, it should be 10, which it is. Okay. And that, you know, having this as a function is probably fine. So now we're going to use that function we made. Always going to be 0. I could clean that up because, you know, if it's always has to be the same number, then this you probably shouldn't have it and then leave time. $9.38. And then we want to add back in our other ones. And then I want to make this a thread last macro. See if we can do that easily. That's not right at all. I want to spend like 5 more seconds on this. I'm just trying to convert it to a thread last macro. I'm not sure what all is enabled. Okay, I'm going to do it manually. I use a combination of Lisp and Emacs, an unholy union of both. And then really, this is now simple enough to sort of warrant the anonymous function, since CT is not helpful anyway as a name, right? Okay. And then I believe min is the, I guess it would be apply min. So we get 858. So that should be the ID. Is bus number 59. It doesn't depart until 9:44. Was 9:44 an option? Okay, so what I'm looking at is they say the bus that we should be able to take in the answer here is ID 59, and it doesn't depart until 9:44. Which is never an option. Interesting. So I'm gonna do the example they say should be correct and see what I get. And this should be 59. Oh, we do want the one after, not the one before. I had it in my head. I was in my head we wanted the timestamp before, but we'd want the one after because you can't go into the past to take the bus. $9.44 is not an option. And it's the one we get. Okay. And then the final step here would be to we had to do some weird thing where it was like the ID multiplied by the difference. So which means we'll have to maintain the ID. So maintaining the ID is just when we map, we want to return that original time as well. So I guess vec, or no. This is like adding, put in a vector and then do sort. There's just a couple ways to do this. I'm trying to think of the cleanest one. It's not going to matter too much if we put in vec because we're just taking it out. I mean, like, in a longer pipeline it would. I think vec is what I want. Vec 1, 2. It's always vec or vector. And in this case it's vector. So we have to interrupt our pipeline here really quick. And then we have to spell the word correctly because we need to keep track of the, I guess, the ID essentially. Oh, and then we don't want to, I'm surprised that even evaluated. Okay, and then now we want the sort by second. So sort by takes a function and we're just extracting the second value. And then we're going to take the first. Oh no, we're going to, I don't think we'll have to destructure here at this point. ID time. And then what are they having us do? What is the difference times? So it's going to be multiplied. So the ID times. Oh, so let's change this to. Oh, and why type things in? This is the future. We don't, come on, undo. We should be able to use LSP rename here to improve our lives, and we can. That's actually really nice. I'm hoping it works on larger projects because it would be no small thing if it did. So be minus time, estimated leave time. And what we're hoping here is for this to equal 295, I guess. Oh, I got an error about conversion because I didn't call first. Okay. So I'm going to copy all of this and make it a function. You know, there's extract functions, but it's like it's nothing to create a closure function. So I have no clue. This is a very businessy thing. So like the name here completely depends on like the context of things around it. I mean, like get solution, like it's just so like look at this, we're multiplying two numbers that have no business being multiplied together. Like it's simply for some coding challenge reason. And I guess like and this guy, and then we'll just get rid of that. Okay, so the next thing I guess we have to do is we just have to get our inputs into the format that we're given. I'm going to take a quick break and then we'll do that. Okay, so now we're just looking to convert our input on the right here on the right side that I've left up this whole time to the format on the left. So I've misspelled the word puzzle right away. That's great. We're gonna get a hold of the file. I expected IO resource to autocomplete. Because historically that's been the case in my editor. Maybe that's turned off now with LSP for some reason because there's competing functionality. That's the one I can always count on is IO. I don't even know where it comes from because I never look at it. Hold on. Yeah. I just always am able to type in IO/ and it happens. Okay. I mean, I kind of like knew, I mean, did I think it had a Java in it? Yes, I would have guessed, but I wasn't positive and I wasn't about to sit there and guess at it for 10 minutes rather than just Googling it. I've misspelled slurp. That's why I like to do autocomplete. It just saves brain ticks, brain cycles. And then this is obviously going to work. And then split, or what is it, string the new line? I think there's another way to do this too, but I think, what's the arguments here? And then collection. It is a thread last. Split add. This isn't the right function, is it? Returns a vector of take. No. I want like string split add. And here again, autocomplete isn't going to work, is it? That's very frustrating. I'll fix that maybe in the intermission between the problems. Yeah, it's like, you know, one problem, you solve one problem with a library and you create another one because you realized you had to turn it off because they had competing functionality. Dependencies. Yeah, split lines. Wait, I don't even need the... Okay. So, let... what is this? This is our estimated leave time as a string. Yeah, I kind of have to do it this way, right? And the second thing is, I guess the input. I'm just calling it input for now. I'm going to go ahead and put that over to the side. It's not so big as to be an issue. And then just check that we got the right thing here. Why is it giving me an error? It's underlining this. Oh, because I need to slurp in the expression that it's getting it from. Okay. So wherever we use this, we're gonna wait, integer like this, I think. Yeah. It's always reading me out that it's not like a, I guess I could read string. In Clojure, you could just read string too. That's the other way to do it. That's kind of risky though. As in if it was malicious input, doesn't matter. Just leaving that as I guess a comment right now. Because what we need to do is handle this input. And basically we just want to add so regex? No, I want string. I keep thinking I'm in the string namespace. And then string is first, in which case I'm not gonna even bother with thread last macro, because collections are always the last thing on a thread last macro, and there's no point in using a threading macro if you're only gonna call one thing on it. This needs a regex, and we want that to be a comma. just want to remove, oh, excuse me, remove from any of these if you're equal to x, because for some reason they included that just to give you more busy work. Which does matter. I mean, you use a, like if I find out this whole process is wrong, then like this fiddling here will distract from the answer. So like it absolutely matters that there's busy work here in terms of producing something. And I lied, I do want a thread last macro, and it's very annoying my refactoring tools aren't working. No, it would be this. I mean, like the threading macro is very good for clarity. Not a money symbol, pound symbol. Because now I can, now you see like the order of the operations in the entire set is very obvious. And in using like a transducer is even more, tends to be even more clear because you can separate those functions out from the pipeline. I just, especially in, I don't know if it's more clear because it sort of separates and that means you have to do more tracking, but then it's more clear like what the operations are by themselves, but not where they're used. Is it more clear? I don't know. It's more composable, that's for sure. Maybe it's less clear though. If you use a transducer, you can separate the data pipeline out, is what I'm saying. There's no reason to do that here, though. And then we want to convert all these to integers. And then basically we want to reassign these. To their cleaned, if you will. That's what people call it. They say it's like you're cleaning your input. And then what we call the other thing, bus leave cycle times. Okay, and then, wow, there was really only 4 in there. And then we're gonna call get solution because that's what we want, which isn't in my, didn't pop up as an option, which means I probably hadn't evaluated it yet. There's a Stack Overflow error. Oh, because of the recursion. Probably. I mean, almost certainly. Let's see, does it probably says if I stare there long enough. Unhandled Stack Overflow, no message. Interesting. Oh, yeah. It's weird that it didn't consider, like, it didn't consider. Sorry, so there's 2 things going on here. One, my worry over needing to optimize has been realized, at least in one instance, which is I wrote the recursive function without being tail recursive. which is certainly the reason we're having this error. And then um, the second thing that's interesting is that my editor didn't show me like basically any information other than the Stack Overflow, because I had project only showing, and if you click on all, it does tell you the function that had the overflow. I mean, I knew it was going to do the recursion one, but like there's knowing and then there's knowing, and you want the latter where the computer agrees with you, not the former, because that'll get you in trouble. Okay, this is going to be uncomfortable because I honestly sometimes struggle a little bit with how to convert these. And maybe this one won't be bad though. It's not get solution. Well, actually I'm sorry, I'm going to do this one more time. It was get closest number. That was the Stack Overflow, right? Yes. Okay. I highlighted get solution when I was talking, but I meant to highlight get closest number. So we need to convert this to tail recursion, which means that we'll need to be able to write it like this: loop recur and let's do our other one again, the one that we did before, 7 v0 and is 939. It takes the initial values and then recur always has to be the last thing. That's the problem, right? Because what I want to do is mentally it's easier for me to start this with an if, right? Okay, so what I'm saying is that I think in tail recursion, you always have to have the function be the highest expression called. And in this case, it's not. It's this get closest number, so it always has to keep a reference to the previous one, and that's why you get the Stack Overflow. That's my 2-second explanation. And if you use recur, that means it knows it doesn't have to keep the reference, and you can keep going. So you don't get the overflow, because the overflow is because you kept holding onto your head. But how would you, because whether or not you recur is dependent on if you can continue. Maybe there's like a exit condition that I'm not aware of. Is there something like trampoline? Is that what trampoline does? This one, it puts it at the end. Okay, I'm just going to try it. Maybe I have a misconception that it doesn't need, because that example right there did not have it at the end. Actually, I should go check to see if it says you can't do that. So I'm just going to copy this in here and replace recur. It's a little weird, but it's the quickest way to victory. And then we can go back and discuss historically if things should have been different. You know what would be really cool is a static analysis tool that noticed when you've updated something and let you know that you need to update the outer expression, because that's a good way to lose an hour of your life, is to believe you changed the expression but not evaluate it. Okay. So I guess I have a misconception about recur, because in my mind, this shows you how often I run into the Stack Overflow problem. Not very often, but maybe I've written some. You know, I've used recur before. I just remember like there is a gotcha, and so I never default to it unless like I discover something's really slow. Like writing recursive functions in production code. I've had to do it not as often as you would think. Usually there's a way to do it with reduce. That's if you're not needing to be recursive is the ideal. It's cleaner. Oh, so this is our solution. We're going to see if this is correct for problem 1. That's the right answer. Okay. I think this is 2 videos, so I'm going to stop here for number 1 and take a walk or something.